Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good evening. I'd like to call the Administration and Budget Committee of the Open Space Authority meeting to order. Should we call roll?
Director Chapman.
Here.
Director Alexander, not present. Director Gill.
I'm here.
Okay. Now go on to public comment. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the committee on any matter not on the agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Do we have anyone wishing to address the body?
There are none.
All right. Now move on to approval of the minutes.
Okay, so I'm moved to approve May 8, 2025.
Okay, and I will second. All those in favor?
Director Chapman.
Yes.
Director Gill.
Yes.
Okay, and the approval of the minutes passes unanimously. Both of us present. Okay, on old business. And again, so now we are going to review the Business Advisory Committee at Large appointment process. Carolyn.
Thank you, directors. I'm Caroline Hernandez, clerk of the board. And tonight we're revisiting a topic that we first brought to your committee on March 13th, 2025. For this revisit, staff recommends that the Administration and Budget Committee review the process for screening applications and interviewing at-large applicants to the CAC and adopt procedures or make amendments. And so just a bit of background information. As we know, the CAC is comprised of 50 members, 7 district representatives, and 8 at-large representatives. The process for screening and selecting at-large applicants is under the purview of this committee, the ABC. And selection criteria is outlined in 2 different policies. BRD 28, the Board Operating Rules and Procedures, which states that the membership of the CAC shall reflect the cultural and ethnic diversity of the population within the authority's jurisdiction. And Board Policy 22, CAC Handbook of Guidelines and Responsibilities, which goes into further detail and states that the qualifications for membership are as follows. Persons to be selected shall have an interest in developing, implementing, and furthering an open space program in the jurisdiction. Candidates shall reside in the authority's jurisdictional boundaries. Candidates for the at-large position may demonstrate general knowledge of and involvement of the activities of priority interest areas that support the board's focus for the CAC. Candidates should have a general knowledge of desire to learn about civic and governmental processes, and candidates should have a working knowledge of issues facing land conservation and public access. So our current application lists 3 questions that relate back to the aforementioned qualifications as listed here on this slide. So we went through this process at the last meeting. We have 3 pretty standard questions. What specific knowledge of people, organizations, and/or civic activities, what experience related to agriculture, business, civic organizations, etc. And then how do you keep yourself alert to trends and issues? After we presented this to the ABC, this is kind of a short summation of some of the feedback that we got from the committee. We would like to focus on balancing representation between all parts of the jurisdiction, focus on balancing fields of expertise, highlighting ways candidates represent communities of interest, and screening and evaluating current CAC members who are interested in reapplying for another term. And I would just like to point out that for number 4, while this particular protocol is not addressing that per se, but it is on our radar, so it's something that we can look at a later point in time. And so we can look at how current recruitment for these at-large applicants is done. So currently, let me catch up with my notes. Let's see. Recruitment for the CAC is determined by our Citizens Advisory Committee of Handbook of Guidelines and Responsibilities. And so, which states that staff communicates all new vacancies and positions with expiring terms on the CAC to the board, staff, and CAC. Unanticipated vacancies will be announced as soon as reasonably feasible, and anticipated vacancies at least 90 days prior to the expiration date. To encourage recruitment, staff prepares, distributes, and makes public announcements and posts for a minimum of 45 days. And so what staff do is present to the CAC early in the year about expiring terms. Am I? Oh, okay. I think I'm, never, let me continue on. What staff does is present to the CAC early in the year about the expiring terms to give our members time to consider and plan out if they would like to return or end their time with us. Both unanticipated and upcoming vacancies are posted on the CAC's page on our website, as seen here. Staff posts. This is our webpage. So we have a description of the CAC. And towards the bottom of the page, we do list which vacancies are available or upcoming. And then there's a brief description about how candidates can apply. And then we have buttons that direct candidates to the position descriptions. And then the orange button is the application. Staff posts flyers at the administrative office and at our open space preserve, which you see here. This is a sample flyer that we've posted that has a QR code that links back to our webpage. And then we have posted our committee openings on LinkedIn. Occasionally, press releases are picked up by local news publications. And so what we see here is a recent posting in the Mercury News of one of our committee openings. And so we'll keep this type of recruitment process going, and to be more consistent and intentional about when and where we are posting these notifications. So we will have CAC vacancies posted on LinkedIn on a more consistent basis, and potentially other social media as well. So the application has been relatively the same for some years. So this was a good opportunity to give the application a makeover. And so as you're aware, this is what our previous application looked like: text heavy at the top, and then candidate information, and then our 3 questions that we took a look at. And so in your packet, here's a sample template of what an updated CAC application will look like. This kind of mimics the application for our expenditure plan and oversight committee to keep the branding more consistent. We have a small description. We took away a lot of the text from the top of the page, and we added a small description about what the CAC's purview is. And so candidates would fill out the top part, just standard information about their home address, contact information, what position they are applying for. And then beneath that, we added a section where the candidate can check off what areas of interest, what areas of interest they have. And then below that, they're invited to answer on a separate sheet, as open-ended as they like. We have 6 questions here. So we've doubled the amount of questions. And these questions kind of serve more to address what the ABC was hoping to, the information that CAC was hoping to gather. So our questions are: what interests you most about serving on the CAC? What areas of expertise or experiences do you possess that would be valuable to the Citizens Advisory Committee? How do you stay informed about local issues and community concerns? Can you provide an example of a time when it was necessary to engage in respectful debate or critical discussion? The advisory and volunteer nature of the Citizens Advisory Committee requires attending 6 standing meetings occasional special meetings, and outreach events annually. How would you prioritize this time in your existing schedule? And then a very simple question, how did you learn about this vacancy? So with having these questions on the front end, we're hoping to gather much more focused information from our candidate to see how they're connected to their specific community, what passions drive them, and how they can apply that to the CAC. And then the second page has the candidate requirements, which are very simply have to be at least 18 years of age. They have to live in the open space jurisdiction and not a current member of any other legislative body on the authority. And then we've added some informational things, an interview, just to let them know they should anticipate an interview with the ABC. And then just the green box contains more background information about the Citizens Advisory Committee. I'll stop here. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, Director Gill, you have a question?
First of all, the last time you bring the same kind of application, so you said is amended. What is the amendment you did?
Oh, okay. So this is what our CAC application looked like.
Yeah, it's the same thing the last time, if I remember that.
Correct. Oh, but yes. So this was what we were presenting to you as what we normally use, and this is the proposal for the amendments to the CAC application.
There are a couple questions I have in my mind. The first one is that job description. I didn't see the good job description there. Whenever somebody want to be apply that, you have to be just have some kind of job description. We don't want to be make our agency so cheap. I'm not talking about the current status of the agency. We don't find any kind of CAC members that. So, but in the future, might be there are more than one candidates. We have that. So then we have at least minimum qualification, even though high school diploma.
I see.
Okay. Then one thing I just want, even there when you just write down the please select your area of interest, right? Even above that, you can just write something. What kind of language you guys can speak other than English? Then in that way, we know that the person CAC can speak maybe Chinese. So then anything else, then is much easier for us to be tracked that the person can speak more than one language.
Okay.
So that's my suggestion.
Okay.
It's not a concrete, I'm just saying that whatever I thought that one. That's two things is very important, and then just work on the JD.
Okay.
Okay. Job description is very important. So at least we want us, our agency is really we need to be hire somebody, even though it's a voluntarily job, but we need somebody. Then they look at that, when they just read that, so they have interest. If we don't write down anything, they think maybe this is just nothing. We need to be attracted to people when, if I want to be apply that, I want to look at the JD first. If there is nothing there, then we think that this is just nothing.
Sure. Through the chair.
Well, I was gonna say, Director Gill, are you suggesting maybe like a cover letter, cover overlay, to the application that has the job description, and then you go to the application?
Whatever.
Yeah.
I will say that the green box, I know that, I apologize, the text is really small. It does list that all positions should possess a general knowledge of and involvement in activities related to the position. So we would, if I were to add more description of the at-large position to this green box area, do you think that would, Or how,
When you, no, I'm not talking about when they fill out the application.
Mhm.
There are two-step process. One is just they have to look at that. What are you advertising? You understand that? So whenever you advertising something, people has to look at that.
Mhm, mhm.
Then they have, if they have interest, then they have to go to the application part. So
Okay.
that's it's two-step process, not just one, you just have the description and then that's it. Little bit, it seems to me look like both is together.
Mhm.
So first you have to be like you guys just advertising for any kind of other.
Through the chair, I think Caroline could take it back a few slides to what we do put out kind of as the advertisement.
Yeah.
Next one. So there's this and like that flyer on the left-hand side there. We can definitely look at what else to include in that, but that is kind of the
The
That's
note,
the
job
first-
description
Yeah,
part that
that's what
you're
I'm saying.
referring
So,
to.
yeah,
So it's, yeah, they see this part first, but then they do have to complete the application. So
if
that's-
they interest, if they have that interest.
correct.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and if I can respond to also your comment about education. Right now, that would be a policy change because education requirements are not explicitly called out anywhere in the board or CAC handbook. And we would need to change that before we made that selection criteria.
So-
Not to say it couldn't be done, but it would take a different action.
I understand
Yeah.
that, but how hard it is to change that? It's just need to be resolution, right?
It has to come back to the.
Yeah,
board-
bylaws, you have to board, have to be changed there, but keep in mind that.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
I just wanted you to have the right expectation of what we could do in
Mhm.
this process.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay.
I'm gonna say I like the application. Because it stands out and I think you did incorporate some of the feedback. I mean, I look at, the areas of interest, you've beefed that up. Particular parks, because I wasn't in there. So I'm gonna call Mr. Eggers and say, hey, thank you, look. But I think, so I did have a question and I think it's pertaining to an issue that we had about the open seat that we just filled here. You don't go back and contact anybody that has previously indicated interest. It's really up to people to find, once you do you put the LinkedIn and social media and the update on the website, it's really up to people to contact us if they're interested, right?
Yes, we encourage folks to reach out to the clerk, the clerk's email address, clerk@OpenSpace Authority. I will say that once folks have submitted an application, once they've already filled out the application, we do retain that for up to 2 years. So in the event that there was another vacancy, those folks who have already applied and who do have applications on file are contacted to let them know that there is another vacancy, and if they have an interest in seeking the role for that vacancy.
Okay, so you
So-
do go back and contact people that have.
If they have filled out an application, correct?
Any other questions or feedback?
Okay.
No, but to your point, I think at least what I was seeing you were trying to get across is amping up the benefits of the organization, a little bit about what we're about, what we're looking for, where we're headed, what our vision is.
Mhm.
That could be in this, however you feel best to incorporate that, maybe expanding the green box a little bit, maybe about the agency or something.
Yes.
So you're tying in the strength of the agency, because like you said, we want people that want to be here.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Do we have any members of the public that want to comment on this?
not yet. I have a few more slides to present to you.
Okay.
Okay, so the first section, we talked about recruitment, so posting the notice of vacancy, the application. I just want to run through the process with you again. The process is mostly going to stay the same. Staff will intake the applications. It's staff responsibility to verify the applicant's address. Staff will schedule the item at the next ABC meeting, and then staff communicate with the candidate to let them know what to expect. So that process will stay the same. So the next step in this protocol would be the actual interview process at the ABC meeting. So what I devised was a series, like an evaluation sheet, essentially to be a guideline for our committee members during the application process. So in the event that there are more than one or even one applicant, just to ascertain the goal that they truly want to be here, that they want to provide their expertise to the CAC and the authority. I developed a series of questions that is entirely optional for committee members to use, but just to kind of frame what the goal is of the interview process for the candidate. So I even listed a couple of goals to understand making sure they understand what their requirement is as in this position, if they were to get it, their ability to work collaboratively, and their commitment to their communities of interest. And then the sample questions, which kind of are intended to dig a little deeper.
And this document's internal, right?
Yes, it's optional, and it would be, it would be included in the packet. So at least the candidate would know potentially what they would be asked. But yes.
Like the evaluation process. So when somebody send the applications, fill out the application. So who's reviewing the application? The first line of evaluation, you?
Yes, correct. Mhm.
Okay, so then you just you can just select or reject there, right?
It's not. It's the ABC's purview to either accept or to make the recommendation of who they think should go to the board.
I understand that. Let me give you one example. If there is a 10 applicant, I'm just saying they fill out the application. So when you go through there, you cannot see everybody is just fit for our business alignment, right? So then we have to be reject some there, right? Or even even everybody, no matter they have any experience or they really align our business, then you have to be just all bring it to the ABC or
So it is, again, staff is reviewing for the minimum qualifications. So staff is reviewing for the candidate is at least 18 years of age or older, if they live in the jurisdiction, and that they've completed the application in its entirety. That's what staff is screening for. Anything beyond that is for an at-large applicant would be for the ABC to discern between.
Okay, so let's go on the other way then. There is only one applicant.
Mm-hmm.
So that applicant don't have whatever the minimum qualification we need that. You think the ABC has to be selected that one, or they can reject that, and you can what do you call it, that advertise the position again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just doing to just make you harder a little bit to be.
I would say that if I was a candidate filling out an application to be on a committee, I would like the opportunity to present my qualifications to that committee. So if we're looking at it from the other direction, I feel like if I've met the minimum qualifications and I filled out the application, that I should be given an opportunity to meet with the committee to express why I want to be on this committee.
So how you can evaluate that the person has the minimum qualification?
Oh, there,
I can write down anything on the
well,
application.
this is true. This is true.
There is any.
I mean, barring background checks, I
Yeah,
guess
that's-
we have to.
No,
Go off of what
I'm just asking, so the worst or the worst. So it's not at all the time should be there, but at one point might be. I fill out the application, I never go to our park, I don't know what is the open space authority, but I can write down there. I saw so many candidate in my whole life,
Mhm,
even they don't have any single day experience, they put a 10-year experience.
mhm, mhm.
So then you have to be understand that so you can hire that person, or you have to be some kind of process to be understand that that person really don't have any qualifications or experience.
Well, that,
Even though it's a CAC, even we are hiring in our agency, I'm not just only stick with the CAC members.
mhm,
If actually I have the right, even for the elected officer, I'll just put that one inside the minimum qualification as well. People has those kind of qualification, then they will be applied for the position.
mhm.
Not like anybody just come and then apply for any kind of position, even run the elections. That's my way.
Mhm.
So
If I may, Director Gill, the CEC is a volunteer opportunity. And so therefore, the level of kind of inquiry into somebody's experience and qualifications is different than applying for a paid position where they would be here, it's a very different. There are some similarities, but there are some differences. But to your question of like, could we say no if we found they don't qualify? So if staff does this portion and were to confirm that this person is eligible per policy to be an applicant for the CAC, and in your utilizing of Caroline's new recommended tool, have conversation with them and find they are lacking, it's in your purview to decline their membership.
that's why I'm asking. That's why I
Yeah.
said you guys has any front line of to look at evaluation, then you guys can just look at this person don't have any
This-
minimum requirement, what do we need that? Then you guys can just reject from there.
I think Director Gill, they're trying to put the responsibility back onto us.
These are board appointed positions, so it is the board
We
has the onus.
Yes.
we can do that, but not
Yeah.
all the
We
candidates you
can,
have to
we
bring.
can.
We can do anything. Really.
No, you can do it.
But the question is that we put some kind of burden on your shoulders as well. Then we have a little bit easy
The
time.
burden Caroline has is finding the
Yeah.
applicants.
Yeah.
Yeah, your burden is following up within the 2 years,
Okay.
if anybody has an
Mhm.
one on file, right? And making sure that you are doing a thorough outreach, and I think expanding the social media is probably, a good.
And Caroline's burden is the legal compliance of matching our policies
Yeah.
and making sure we're doing it that way.
And
And-
I think it's also important for us when we have the interview that, to me, it's, you get a better feel for the applicant when the applicant's here in front of the committee rather than. I think a couple of them that you may are referring to, they were, when we were doing Zoom and they were kind of over the air and you're going, you don't really know the person. So I think it is easier to try and schedule something. ahead of
I
time.
understand your point that the main goal is that when you bring all the candidates in front of the board, then we are elected peoples, right? So if we
Yes.
make somebody unhappy,
Yeah.
then you know that then the next election will be is hard for us also. So that's why I'm saying if anybody is not qualified, at least they don't meet the minimum qualification, then you can just reject on the very beginning. Even though it's a volunteer position,
Mhm.
but we need the people. Do we sit down in this chair again?
I think there wasn't there a time where we didn't we felt we needed to go back and cast a wider net because we weren't.
We weren't getting very
getting
many,
Qualified candidates.
correct.
Yes.
Mhm. To your point, Dr. Gill, I will say that, I don't want to keep
Repeat.
deflecting the onus back onto the ABC, but it is, um, part of the scope of the work that the ABC does. And even, the last time we had two candidates, it went to the board, and it is truly the board's discretion who they pick, who they would like to represent the authority on the CAC. So it is truly between, the ABC's recommendation and the board's approval. It's
The buck stops with us.
and I know it can be awkward, unsavory, heavy. And that's why I had hoped that maybe having some pre-designed questions but the candidate would know, that the committee knows, the questions are designed to dig a little deeper into, what truly drives the candidate, and, hopefully asking those questions would make the decision easier, and it would be done in an open and very transparent process. And that's ultimately that's another big component of this too. Everything has to be done.
There's nothing that stops you from, once you, sitting on the ABC and you see the packet and you see the application, from reaching out. Be perfect, saying, hey, I want to speak with the candidate, right?
So
I have some questions.
the question you just put on the screen, right?
No, yes.
So that will be all the candidates has those kind of questions, right? If I change the question, they will be upset.
No, this is
Because
optional.
they will ask, the question is not from this list.
And that's
I'm just saying that. Why should we want to give this question to the candidates? And what is the reason for that?
well, to be prepared, to
They
provide
must-
thoughtful answers.
Whenever you ask the question, okay, so if you just give that question to anybody, give it to me, so you can go on the website and then you can memorize all the question. So then all the candidates give the same answer. So how you can pick the person?
Well, I mean, it depends. Somebody might not be willing to put in that amount of work into it. So
It's okay. So whatever you think, but I'm not favor on
And-
putting the questions give it to the candidate.
okay.
So definitely board members have the question, the reason for that, because then you have to be asked the same question to each candidate. That's why we need those questions, the board member has that.
I would say that in preparing the candidate for the ABC meeting, we can include, and again, this is all optional, and it is about informing the candidate of what the expectations are. So the ABC will interview you. Here's a sample list of questions that you may or may not be asked. So I think it involves preparing the candidate for what to expect, but I don't think that you necessarily have to ask the same question of each
But
candidate.
not like this question. Question should be just give the broad area. To be, okay, so question will be asked on this kind of, not specific question.
I think I'm following you, because I sit on another board where we do something kind of similar, where there's a questionnaire and it's filled out and everybody reviews the questionnaire and you look at it. But then when it comes down to the interview process, we ask questions and that are written out ahead of time, that everybody that's on the committee that's doing the interviewing has a list of those questions. They are not given to the candidate, but every one of those questions, depending if you have 5 candidates or 3 or whatever, the same questions are asked of that candidate. So it's like an additional screening on top of the questionnaire. So they're not prepared ahead of time, but the board all are asking the same questions. So you're asking the same information of the candidate, so you can evaluate the difference between the candidates. You're following me?
That's what I'm saying. So
Is that what you're trying to say?
yeah,
Dr.?
instead of giving this question, even give these question to that person, I mean, all the candidates. But whenever we ask the question, We don't want ask those kind of questions. We have a different set of questions, but related to those kind of questions.
Mhm.
They ask a different way. You understand that?
Yes, I hear you. Mhm.
Yeah, that's my bottom line. I'm asking this one. Otherwise, go to the Google or just
Well, no,
memorize
that's-
everything.
That's,
Yeah.
that's the point of trying to ask those questions at the interview,
Yeah.
and people, and to the point where Carolyn's going is that. The candidate usually knows that the interview team is going to ask some additional questions, but we are coordinated here because we're gonna ask the same questions.
Through the chair, may I ask a question?
Yes.
Would it meet your desires if, when these are positioned as sample questions, but if we didn't provide a list of questions to the candidates ahead of time, for example, that included perhaps a blurb on the application to say something like, please anticipate being interviewed by the committee regarding your, and then we could use some very general terms like interest in the OSA, volunteering, we could think of what the right phrases are, but they're very broad. And then absolutely within the committee members, you could have, we do this with interviewing staff. We have kind of a master list of questions. And then depending on the circumstance, we're choosing questions we think are most appropriate for this particular interview. And we ask everyone in the pool the same questions. And I think that's where you're going also with whatever questions you decide on, it's your preference that we ask everyone in that applicant pool, if you will, so that it's the same. They all have the same
So you
questions.
mean one question I asked,
Yeah,
the second question, Helen asked
Got
different
it.
question, the other one asked,
Yes,
but the next
yes.
candidate come, I'll ask the same question.
Right.
yes,
Right.
there you go, right.
Mhm.
This is the way I understand, but if we have all these questions already, they know that. So what is the use to ask the question? You can read them. Whatever they fill out, so that's all.
Yes, I think you summarized that correctly.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
and then the other thing I would just throw out for the committee's consideration is thinking about applicants who. Yes, we were asking them to potentially join our CAC and being in public and speaking publicly will be an important skill. It is also perhaps a little nerve-wracking to be interviewed in a public forum. So potentially considering as they come in are seated, either providing a copy of those questions that they can refer to, or just, I think it helps.
You could probably
We
put
could
them on
probably
the
project
overhead.
them, something like that. I think it expands our pool of potential candidates or people performing well without having taken 2 weeks to study and, craft their answers. I think you're looking for, it sounds like, more in the moment, genuine responses than an essay when they come.
But the other, can I ask another question?
Sure.
Still has time.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at my watch.
I just want to.
We have one more item.
No, we have one more item?
Yeah.
Then Then, I mean, the other question is that because whenever you appointed somebody, then might be, you can look at that, what kind of public speaking experience they have. If they don't have that, then might be assign or give them some kind of classes or they can go to learn the public speaking. That's very important. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Okay, so yes, so that brings us to this part of the presentation anyways. Okay, so to sum up, what I think I've heard you guys say, for the application, we want a position description listed on the application that describes what essentially the role of that they're applying for is. Maybe listing what their
Or including the mission statement of the agency
Yeah.
or something, right? So they're buying into what we're focused on.
and we want something that's lists or asks for their level of education.
Yeah, make it simple one. So we don't want to confuse you actually. It's a really a good format. Just add a couple things. What is the minimum qualification? So
Mhm.
at least they know that this is the real position, even though it's a volunteer.
Mhm.
The second one is, what kind of language they speak.
Oh,
So
language,
then,
correct.
English, other than English,
Yeah, he's speaking of the language other than English.
other than English. That's all.
Okay.
Simple.
Okay, great. The process will remain essentially the same, except staff will really take into account what these minimum qualifications are. And then note the evaluation sheet, but staff will prepare a series of sample questions that that the ABC will use during the evaluation.
Not many, maybe two each is good enough.
Three, or at
We
least
just
three.
want to be looked at the candidate. So if it's a one candidate, then you can ask or not ask is the same thing, but when have more than one candidate, then we have to be evaluate that which one we need to be, bring it to the board, front of the board. So
Okay.
that's the only main reason. We don't need so many candidates just to say, okay, this is okay too, this is okay, then
Mhm.
go to the board, and then it's hard for there. We don't need any bias there, because
Sure.
we need the qualified candidate to
Correct.
be appointed.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Or through the chair, did you have?
Oh,
Anything to-
okay, now do we have any public comment?
No, we do not.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you for that robust discussion, Director Gill.
Yes, thank you.
I do appreciate the time that you spent on this. I think this is a significant improvement. I think it elevates us, and I think that where you were trying to go, Director Gill, is you're trying to elevate our reputation so that, as seriously as we do, right?
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Now, we are going to discuss and recommend applicant Mary Patterson to the Board of Directors for the upcoming vacant at-large appointment to the CAC.
Hello again, directors. Caroline Hernandez, Clerk of the Board. So for this item, we are presenting to you, staff recommends the Administration Budget Committee review the application submitted by Mary Patterson and make a recommendation to the board for appointment to the upcoming vacant at-large seat on the CAC. Once again, our CAC is a 15-member committee. We learned per our process of informing our current CAC members when their terms are expiring, staff learned that there will be an upcoming vacancy for an at-large position. Pardon me, the at-large position was first noticed on April 22nd, 2025, after member Steve Mink notified the authority that he would not be seeking reappointment after his term ends on June 30th, 2025. And the new term period for the at-large seat starts on July 1st and goes through June 30th, 2027. And so, knowing that we have this upcoming vacancy, staff reached out to the one applicant that we have on file, Mary Patterson. She submitted her application on December 9th, 2024, and she resides in District 1. So she does live in our jurisdiction. And she was contacted and informed about the upcoming vacancy, to which she expressed an interest in continuing to serve. So she did want her application submitted and considered for the upcoming at-large vacancy. Ms. Patterson came to the special meeting on January 23rd, 2025. However, she was not available to come today. But I believe you had the opportunity to speak with her and get an idea of her qualifications and her interest in being on the CAC. Presuming that the ABC make a recommendation to move Ms. Patterson's application to the board, that would be added to the June 26th agenda for the full board's approval, so that she could begin the term starting July 1st. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, Director Gill, do you have any questions?
Not really, actually, we already had the interview last time.
Mhm.
And we made the decision on that time. She is really a good for the at large, not the agriculture, if I correctly remember that. So now we are so happy to take her as at a large position. So I'm happy to move forward.
Okay, so we have a motion.
I have the motion to move Mary Patterson to the board. Next board meeting.
Correct. Give me 1 second to populate this motion.
Okay, and I will technically second the motion to recommend Mary Patterson to the Board of Directors for the upcoming vacant at-large appointment to the CAC.
Director Chapman,
Yes.
Director Gill,
Yes.
All right, that motion passed unanimously, which is very nice that we have two qualified candidates that went through our vetting process. And have subsequently, got us to beef up our recommendations in our application process, which is good. So, I'm look forward to the next board meeting. Okay, do we have any public comment?
there's none.
None, okay, all right. With that, we'll now adjourn the meeting.